Tom, I believe you're still an alternate, so I'm going to assign an alternate as a member of the board this evening. So on the agenda tonight, we have actually three cases. Case number 2019-10 had previously been continued in, I believe it was July or August. That was continued until this date here. I've received communications from the applicant and other parties involved that they would request further continuance of this case 2019-10 until January 8th, 2020. So if I'd like to get that out of the way, if I could have a motion from someone.
I'll make a motion to continue 2019-10 to January 8th.
First, I have a motion.
Second.
Seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So the motion carries 4-0. The other two items we have on the agenda this evening are case number 2019-12, Brian and Heidi Odom. Location of the property is 21 Natticook Ave, Litchfield, New Hampshire, map 18, lot 29. They are seeking a variance from section 310, the dimensional requirements to allow construction of an attached garage and an in-law suite, the construction of which would encroach 10 foot into the side setback requirement of 20 foot. We also have another case on the agenda, 2019-13. Applicant is Josh Lang. Location of property, 25 Riverview Circle, Litchfield, map 6, lot 59. This applicant is also seeking a variance from section 310.00 to allow a garage addition which has been constructed within the minimum setback requirement. Now, do I have folks from 2019-12, Brian and Heidi Odom? Yep. Do I have anybody from Josh Lang?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to start with Brian and Heidi, that case 2019-12. As you can see, we have 4 members on the board. Full board would be 5. You're looking for 3 members to grant relief to the variance in order for you to get what you seek. Odds get better with 5. I've only got 4 here this evening. If you wish to proceed, I just need you to, if you wouldn't mind, state your name and just verbally say that you're willing to proceed.
Copies of the case.
Yeah. Not of the application. Oh, well, yeah, I do. I'll give you the folder. If you go ahead.
Brian Odom.
Heidi Odom.
And yes,
You'd like to proceed with 4 members. All right. I have drafted a notice of decision document. You already got that one? For you guys to take notes, scribble them down. I don't know who's going to do the decisions. Did I give you one already? This one? Laura, I think, is going to volunteer to do one if she's here on time. So with that being said, what I'm going to need you to do is to come up to the table, if you wouldn't mind, so that the mic can pick you up a little bit better. And we're going to start just by essentially having you start presenting your criteria or responses to the 5 criteria why you think relief should be granted.
Well, the proposed would certainly not diminish the surrounding property values in the neighborhood. It's going to be commensurate with what's the rest of the neighborhood. This is just simply to make a space for an ill relative to come be able to live with us, is what it is. The abutter right next to us that encroaches her setback is completely fine with it and gave us a letter. You're more than welcome to have that if you've got it there.
Yeah,
And the neighbors around, it's not an issue with our neighborhood. It's in the setback isn't really, it's still on our property line, but the way the property is laid out, it's really about the first 15 feet that encroach at 10 feet, and then it narrows as the property line goes down. it wouldn't result in any unnecessary hardship to anybody in the neighborhood. It doesn't take up any space on the abutting property. It's a reasonable thing for us to be able to make this accommodation to again take care of this
My parents.
relative that we have to take care of. It would be great because it'd be justified because it would. I mean, we're a resident of the town. And we'd like to take care of our parents, and it's not going to hurt anybody in the process. It doesn't. The line between my home and my neighbor's home is filled in with trees and scrub right now, and that's the setback that it would cover is the scrub and trees that are not in use and never will be in use.
So you'll cut those down.
Well, a bunch of no, we're not going to cut them down, but it'll be separated between that. That's what I mean. Right
Our
now,
neighbor's house
that
sits further back than ours by probably
Yeah.
100 to 200 feet past. So even this addition, they still won't see it from their property because it's so far
it'll
forward.
be their garage is down here, and our garage will be in here. So
That's the old one.
it's,
This is the new one.
it's not in their purview, or there's no view into seeing anything. It's just simply to make that little bump out so we can put a bedroom in there and give them a living room. That's all.
Is that the plan for this?
Yeah, I was wondering,
Oh, we have
so
one.
we have some drawings here. If you wouldn't mind explaining to us
Sure.
maybe.
Actually,
we have-
we brought the
Yeah.
builder
Looking
because
Yeah.
at, I think some of what you were describing,
Yeah.
like the 15-foot or so
Yeah.
forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, just so everybody can see.
So this is the in-law apartment with the garage. This is the garage in the front, and this is the 10 feet. It's going over the side, and then further back you go, it gets back into the setback. And the house is really turned sideways on the street, and this house is way back here. So there is quite a bit of space all through here. And this is so far forward because this leaching field is really not there. It's way more forward. It's full of landscape, and this tank is right up close to this. There's no room to bring that back. That's why that has to stay forward. And we stayed within our front setback.
So so the front setback is within the 50 feet.
Yes.
And then the side,
Yeah, the
you
side
only
setback.
encroach right there at the corner?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we went over 10 feet for about maybe 20, 25 feet.
All the way back to here. See the envelope for the
Mhm.
setback?
Right.
So it's basically back to there.
So you only got 10 feet of setback now.
Correct.
Yeah, 10 feet, and the further goes 5, 4 down to
Yeah.
nothing, you're back in compliance.
So the back corner's in the set, it's out of the.
Within the limits.
Yeah, this is all within the
Yeah.
limits, yeah.
It just kind of fans.
We have a weird property line for whatever reason. A house sits sideways, even though it looks like it's sitting forward. I don't get it, but
Some people like that.
well, if you look at it from the street, you think it's straight on, but when you look at the property, our house is like sideways, apparently,
So
And then
To
this
the road.
drawing
to the
is-
road.
And that's the same drawing. Here's the same property line coming across here with this is 16 feet and, setback, going over the setback. 10
so that's
feet.
the actual line right here.
Yeah, so same picture.
Yeah.
And then this is another addition on this side here, which is a sunroom, great room on this side.
We're
Wow.
taking our family room and turning it into the
This
in-law and moving the
this
family
room
room.
is existing. It's part of their living room. And so this room now is part of the in-law. And now this is the new great room with the new breakfast room. All within a setback. This is all within
So
a setback.
you like
And
double.
this is,
Yeah, here's the new proposed garage, and here's the in-law, on the in-law, and this is the
Front view.
new front of this here.
basically a front view. Okay. This is kind of what it would look like if you're looking at it straight on from the street.
Pretty much, yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Except that one little piece would be sitting a little bit forward.
We haven't gotten
I don't know
final
what that
drawings
is.
on
I don't
anything
wanna-
yet, but-
Yeah, it's in here.
Somebody's.
It's here when I showed up.
Okay.
My good luck charm. Is that a 1-car or 2-car garage?
It's a one.
Yeah, it's just one.
Yeah.
Oh, so you did try
And
to.
there's an entrance right here.
Mhm. So
You know,
you.
we originally had thought that we was gonna come on this side, but with the driveway coming across,
Oh, yeah.
and it would really destroy the whole landscape.
Well, it wouldn't look
That's why
right.
it
We
came
wanted
back.
to make it look right in the neighborhood for the same reasons. I mean,
Well, you would have had either a second road cut to come up the other
Yeah.
side of the house.
Or you would have to
bring
have
your
people
driveway
walking across your
on
front
one
lawn to
side.
get into their apartment. It didn't really make much sense too, especially as they get older too. It would be harder to
Oh, so,
navigate.
so this is all the apartment in here?
Yeah. So,
Sure, that one. So I do have the letter from your abutter,
I do, and I have, actually, that's one, and then I have another one too.
okay?
There was
I
two. That was actually one of our butters, and this is the second abutter too. I think there's an extra copy.
believe this one's from Mark and Kim Benoit.
Benoit, yep.
Yep.
And then the one from the Douglases who are, it's actually in that envelope right there that I just handed you. They're the people who live right next door to us who we encroach their setback. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Let me read this one into the record first. This is from Mark and Kim Benoit, 5 Waterville Circle, Litchfield, New Hampshire. Basically, dear Town of Litchfield, we're writing to the Zoning Board of Adjustments for the Town of Litchfield in regards to case number 2019-12, applicants Brian and Heidi Odom, address 21 Natticook Ave, et cetera. And then it references the appeal that you're requesting. It goes on to say, we will not be able to attend the zoning board meeting of adjustments on November 13th at 7 p.m. for our full and unequivocal support of this request for a variance, et cetera, et cetera. So you've got support from the abutter. These are on
The backside.
backside.
The backside, yep. And
Behind
then
you.
the letter, there's another letter in there from our neighbors, the Douglases. There should be two. Is there
Okay.
one,
So I've got this one.
is there another one in there? Or did you? Oh, right here, sorry. No, he's got it. Yeah. That's just a copy of the one same one.
Okay,
Yep, and then right there is the other one.
perfect. I'm gonna put this in my pile, since I already have that. And then this is the second one. This one's dated November 10th, 2019. This letter is in response to a request from our neighbors Heidi and Brian Odom at 21 Natticook Ave. We are at 19 Natticook Ave. They are proposing to add an addition onto their home, and the setback is 10 feet towards our property. We are approving that we do not have any conflict with the setback for this project. Sincerely, signed Brenda and Michael Douglas. Okay. So we have 2 letters of support from abutters. Those will go into the file. Now, did I lose? Okay. Do you have all the criteria that they responded with? So,
Maybe we have to work on that.
I think some of the criteria you provided in the writing may have been a little bit more than what you had said verbally so far. Do you have a copy of what you submitted?
Probably not.
All right, I don't want to read it verbatim for you, so I'll give it back to you,
Okay.
and let's just make sure, I want to get what you submitted into the
Okay.
record, because again, I think in some of the points, you might have captured a little more here,
Okay.
and, you know, it's really incumbent upon you to make sure you're addressing all the criteria.
Okay.
Did you notice his?
Is that the same thing? Oh, you're all good? Where did that copy come from?
Me.
Oh, good. Glad.
Okay, where do you want me to pick up?
Start with number 1. So
Okay.
basically,
Variance will not be
contrary to
Yep.
public interest because, and then just
Yep.
read what your responses
The
are.
proposed garage and in-law suite and addition of family room would be in character with the existing homes. It would not harm surrounding property values. The proposed project does not pose any safety concerns to the public or abutters. And then the second question, the spirit of the ordinance is observed because there is no traffic or safety issues that would arise from the proposed garage, in-law suite, or addition.
Okay.
And then the third is substantial justice is done because granting this variance does not harm the general public and offers a reasonable benefit to the applicant in attempt to care for aging parents.
Okay.
And then number 4, the values of surrounding properties are not diminished because the proposed garage and in-law suite in addition would be in character with the homes within the neighborhood and would add character and value to the existing home. And I think the last one, which you don't want me to read all that stuff there, do you?
No.
Okay.
No.
My response was the proposed structure, its use keeps with the character of the existing neighborhood and the proposed size is not excessive. The addition does not encroach the left side property lot line at all, which is the other neighbors on the other side.
And that's where the family room.
Yeah, because we're getting rid of our family room that we have now and giving that to them, we needed a new one on the other side just so that we had some place to
Gather.
put our family.
So I think, like the response that you've got on that last criteria addresses the part 2 of A, which is the proposed use is a reasonable one because, I think when we talk about no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general purposes of the ordinance and the specific application of that provision to the property, that's where they're looking for more of what is unique about your property that requires, that would sway us to grant this relief. I think some of what we talked about earlier, where you were referencing the fact that your drive is on this side of the house, where your proposed garage and in-law suite, if you will, is going to be located, is somewhat of a unique situation. Certainly, you've got a pre-existing home that's situated on the property. You're working with what you have present.
The reference to the leach field in the back.
Oh, yeah, there was reference to
Pool on
leach
the
field.
left side, the pool on the left side of the back, it kind of has a, right now there's a kitchen, then a patio and a pool. To the right side of that is the septic tank and the leaching field. That's why the addition is so far forward, because of those.
That still
those
result in
objects
no
in
change
the
in the
back.
conditions on the ground.
I apologize, I just realized I don't think I've asked you to state your name for the record. Say that again?
Jim Bonin.
Jim Bonin, thank you very much.
One of the other things is you mentioned the fact that the house is
Turn sideways.
turned
Yeah.
slightly.
Yeah.
If it was more square, would that have eliminated
Probably
the
would
issue?
have lined up better with the lot, because the lot is more square to the road than the house.
And the other thing is about the spirit and intent of the ordinance is to prevent crowding. Step backs.
Yep.
So how can you explain like
It
your
won't,
neighbor that's
it
on that
won't
side?
result in any change in
So
the crowding.
Yeah.
their driveway is a very long driveway. And so where it encroaches that setback is a good, probably at least 100 to 200 feet before their garage even starts, because they have a side entrance garage, probably more than that,
Yeah,
you
so
think?
their house setbacks from the street over 100 feet, maybe 125 feet.
More
And
than
theirs
more.
is
So it's not
right
really
up to the
crowding them.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even in that neighborhood, it doesn't even look unusual to have a house that looks like what we're trying to propose to build in that neighborhood. Our house is actually
So-
much smaller than.
So
Some of
you're
the
saying
others.
your house is built on the front setback,
Yeah.
Correct.
but the neighbor's house is built
Oh, way back.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Setback.
Yeah.
so from the curb appeal, it's pretty far away.
They've got a huge front lawn. I got a very short front lawn.
And then we have a longer in the back.
Yeah, we have longer in the back there, right against the river.
And what's in between the trees or
Just
There's some
scrub and
trees and there's just
pine
grass,
trees
yeah.
and so forth. And that's where that setback is encroaching, is through those pine trees that'll be over there. So there's nothing really it doesn't like encroach on a
Like their lawn or anything.
or anything else. It runs parallel
It's
to
wooded,
their
yeah, wooded
long
land.
drive.
Oh, is it sloped at all or is it level?
It's pretty level.
Slightly, yeah, it's got a
Small,
slant to it,
small
but
slope
not,
probably, but it's pretty level, that piece.
So that would be the uniqueness of your lot, is the fact that your house is tilted.
Right.
it's really tilted quite far than you think it is. Like if you ever drive that way or golf and you're on the first tee, you would think that our house is straight on, but apparently it's quite sideways.
Like I said, it'll result in no change.
So that would
on
be the
ground.
uniqueness of your property.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're getting at.
Mhm.
Which is, yes, because the location of.
I think so, yeah. I don't know if anybody Google Earthed it, but I didn't bring my laptop with me today. The in-law suite, I assume this is like two code, an in-law suite that meets all the requirements for an in-law suite, is that correct?
Mhm.
So it's not like you're
Cooktop,
seeking something
everything.
even larger,
No.
therefore
No.
that kind of pushed you over the line.
No.
This is all within
No.
No, it's
the
just
rules and regs
because
for an in-law suite.
of the way it's angled.
Again, originally we had thought about putting it on that left side, but then when you take into the fact that they're elderly and then they would have to cross our front
Well, we
lawn to
need a
get
curb
to it, it
cut,
was
and
just
you'd have
too
to-
much, and the curb cut and everything. And so it didn't really make sense to put it on that side after all.
And it would look odd in that neighborhood, and it would change
Yeah.
the way it would look from the street.
So that's why it made more sense to put
You
it.
know what? She brought something up good. if they did put that on the other side, they would have to do a second curb cut.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
what
think you can do that,
we
right?
talked about earlier.
You
Or-
can't.
That's what I was just thinking on that.
Or bring the driveway.
Yeah.
People have to
it's
walk
just-
Yeah.
across.
Nice big horseshoe driveway.
Yeah, which,
That's
You
why
know,
this
and we
seemed
looked
like a
at that-
reasonable solution to
yes,
that
we have
problem.
such a short front lawn that if you put in a horseshoe driveway, we would have no grass. It wouldn't, you'd have no curb appeal whatsoever. You'd have this big driveway
It
running
would
through your
diminish the
yard.
neighbor's property if you did that.
That's something I might want to look into for my property. I believe you're showing 16 foot wide on the garage,
Yes.
which is really the bulk of the
Right.
impact, if you
Mhm.
will, to the setback. And if I'm not mistaken, if memory serves me correct, that's pretty average for a single car garage. I think you require minimum 12 foot for like just a driveway. 14. So I think that's again, not necessarily
Well,
excessive.
and that would be the fact that they went with one garage rather than
Right,
two.
yeah.
So They're trying to,
Mm.
Well,
the setback.
trying to fit it into the,
Yeah,
wedge it in as much as you
Mhm.
can, so. They're gonna have to
I
have
think I'd
one.
have a problem with two-car garage, but
Oh, yeah.
one-car garage is a,
I would have preferred a two-car garage.
Yeah, I'm sure you would.
So,
Take what we can get.
What's up with that? Okay, so what we typically do, did you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I don't think so.
What we would do now is ask if there's any public input, and we would take that public input. We can continue this. And then at some point, once we've gotten through all of that, we'll close public input, at which point we deliberate and vote.
Okay.
Once we close public input, we're not allowed to reopen it. So we want to make sure we get everything out in the open beforehand.
So you have a full denial letter and everything from your building inspector and everything? for the permit?
Was that in here?
We do not have a building permit yet,
Not a building
but
permit.
we do have a new septic design.
But do you have the denial letter and everything for this? Has this
I
already been to?
have one in the file. Is it not in there? It should have been in the email that I sent to you guys.
I'm not saying it.
No?
Oh, wait a minute, what's this?
Is it on the application? Denied. Code enforcement officer
There it is.
decision and comments, yeah.
What is?
Yeah, so it's on there.
You see that? Yes, it's comments.
All right, so do we have any public input on the application before us?
We just met these people today, so I'm gonna go no.
Gotta go through it. All right. So we have no public input. Is there anything further from the board? Anything you wish to add before we deliberate?
I don't think so.
Based on what you've said so far and heard from us, nothing? I guess.
Do you need this back for your file? This is,
I would.
okay.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you
you.
very much. I guess, take a motion to close public input for deliberation.
I'll make the motion that we close the public input.
Oh, second.
Motion seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Motion to close public input carries 4-0. Sounds pretty familiar, just one or two we've had already this year,
So,
to me.
Rick, do you think, are we just gonna go with those, or are we gonna just,
Which ones are those?
what they wrote?
Well, what I would like to do is go through each one and just have you
Yeah,
guys just,
okay.
agree, add to it, whatever. So, I mean, the response to criteria number one, essentially in summary, is that it's a reasonable use. It doesn't pose any safety concerns to the public or abutters, and would not harm the surrounding property values. I think based on what I've heard and looking at the drawings, I'm inclined to agree with
Yeah.
all of those
I
statements.
agree.
On number two, there is no traffic or safety issues that arise from the proposed garage/in-law suite addition, which speaks to the spirit of the ordinance. Again, as we know, the spirit of the ordinance is to
Prevent
manage, crowding,
Yeah.
overcrowding of buildings.
I was thinking of adding something about the adjacent houses setback
Setback.
100.
Plus,
That's your guess is 100
125
feet.
feet, I would say.
How many?
125 feet would be safe.
Over 100 feet.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna make that note. Well, we can't take public input, so
what do you so
approximately 100 foot
twice that?
back from existing house. Three, substantial justice is done, granting a variance doesn't harm the general public, and it provides a reasonable benefit to the applicant. In this case, it's for an in-law suite to care for aging parents. I mean, I think that,
Oh, it's substantial justice. Well, they
to me, yeah, I'm comfortable with that statement, allowing for a family to grow and take on something like that is pretty common. We have the ordinance that allows for in-law suites. They're in compliance with that ordinance, with that particular ordinance. So, what we're trying to do here is, seems to me, it can provide a benefit to the applicant without harming the public.
Yeah. And the fact that we
oh,
have that,
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
and the fact that we have the in-law apartment ordinance now,
Yeah.
that's
All right.
really pushing that.
The value of surrounding properties do not diminish because, in this case, the response was the garage and in-law suite would be in character with the existing homes in the neighborhood and would add character and value to the existing home, therefore implying that would be a benefit to the surrounding property values, not necessarily the negative effect. And again, from what we've seen with the drawing and the frontal view, it certainly seems to be in character. There doesn't seem to be.
Overwhelming or
Yeah.
it's in the neighborhood.
So I can't see how that would have a negative impact on the surrounding properties. The rules and regs on in-law suites are clear as well. They're not supposed to be rented. It's not like it's going to turn into a VRBO kind of thing. What do they call those now? What do they-
Airbnb.
Yeah, that's what they say. Number 5, which has the two parts, a little enforcement of provisions of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship to the applicant, I'll add, because, and then part 1, no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general purpose of the ordinance and the specific application of that provision to the property. And in this case, as we discussed already, where the property is situated on the lot, how it's situated. The fact that
it's tilted or it's
yeah,
turned.
and the driveway's on one side of the house, as you take all of those things into account, I think.
Yeah.
The most reasonable
can't go back.
location has been chosen.
Yeah, because they can't go back further because
Right.
of the leach field.
That's what I would say.
Yep.
Part 2, the
You wanna
proposed
add-
use is a reasonable one.
Can you add the leach field?
Yeah.
And the
Oh,
house
yeah,
is a
leach field
square or
too.
whatever. I don't want to forget that.
Leach field.
I hate these things. Purposes are reasonable.
Driveway.
This is where we need Laura here. So it's the proposed use is a reasonable one.
Pros use is a reasonable one because, and to me, I mean, we pretty much addressed that back in the second
Yeah.
criteria with the in-law
It
suite.
fits in with the neighborhood.
Yeah. So we can certainly, and as they've summarized here pretty well, pro structure and its use keeps with the character of the existing neighborhood and the proposed size is not excessive. The addition does not encroach the left side property line. And I would add, it also doesn't encroach on the front setback either.
Yeah, good point.
So I think that covers all of the criteria. We could probably at this point take a motion from anybody who wants to offer one. I'll take a stab at it.
Go ahead, I'll second whatever you say.
You
I want to
sure?
make sure I have the right thing now. It's encroaching 10 foot, correct?
Correct.
Good. So then I would make a motion to approve case number 2019-12, applicant Brian and Heidi Odom, location of the property 21 Natticook Ave, Litchfield. Approve the variance from section 310 to allow construction of an attached garage and in-law suite. The construction of which would encroach 10 foot into the side setback requirement of 20 foot. So essentially the variance is for 10 foot into the side setback requirement.
No more than 10 feet.
No more than 10 feet.
Is that all right?
Yep. That's my motion.
I'll second that motion.
I have a second. Any further discussion on the motion?
No.
All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those in favor opposed. Motion carries 4-0-0. So at this point, we'll put together a decision. That's what I was trying to do, is keep some notes so we can put together a written decision on the case, try to get that out as quickly as possible. It should be within the next, I think I have 144 hours.
Okay. I don't know what that
So
is, but
6
okay.
days? 6 days.
A week?
Yeah. And then you still got to wait your 30 days in case there is an appeal that's submitted and so forth before you can move forward with your construction. As soon as we get all this together, the file will be back in the office in case anybody. in case
That's
you
my
need
phone. I'm
access to
sorry. I
and
put it
so
on,
forth.
apparently.
I bet your kid wants to get.
I
picked
have
up
no
at
doubt it's my
basketball.
kid. Might just hang out here for the rest of the night.
So we can count on you coming back for
Pretty
the zoning board member?
every Wednesday. Every Wednesday? You want to meet every Wednesday?
Especially now that Campbell is out of.
Yeah, we're out of football, so. Nothing but time
Now
on my
he's
hands.
home.
Yeah.
So I was just asking the question the other night to my wife. Did Campbell, are they out of the playoffs?
They're out.
Playoffs,
They're
yeah. They
We were
beat
one and done in the.
we beat Lebanon. We destroyed them. We looked fabulous, and then we were a team we were
They were
supposed
the
to
number one
smoke.
team. So.
They couldn't get out of their own way. They looked absolutely wretched. So they went home. That was my son's senior year, so he's not going to play. He won't be playing again. Yeah.
I'm not
Thank
signing
you.
up any more, any members, huh?
No.
No,
I got 2 jobs already, but thank you.
this is only a couple hours, over a whole month.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Gonna type
Yeah.
up something?
He might.
Yeah, you know all about the construction, so we could use you.
I'll think about it.
You think about it.
Okay. 2019-13. Did you get one of these already?
I did, yeah, I do.
You do? 13, in case you want to take any notes on your decisions.
A different.
Afterwards, if you have notes on these and you want to hand them back to me, we can use them for crafting the final one. That's why I pass these out, just so you know.
Oh, I was
You got
writing
yours
on that.
already? Okay,
Oh, no, this is a 12.
okay,
I
here's
wasn't
the
ready.
one for 13.
I wasn't writing on this. I was writing on that.
Oh, well, yeah, at least as far as anything
Yeah,
relative to
13
decision, if you put notes on these cheat sheets, we'll just use that to actually create the final document. That's what I'm trying to do with these anyways. I'm not sure how well it's going to work. So, as I was saying to the previous applicant, you have 4 members present. Full board is 5. So you're out to get better with 5. If you wish to request a continuance, then that would be continued till December, which would be the second Wednesday. I'm not sure what date that is. Okay. So then, for the record, the applicant has waived the right for a 5-member board, and we're going to proceed with a 4-member board. And let me just make sure I try to pass out any paperwork that I have. Now, did you bring your own copy of this?
Yes. Yeah. He's reading it.
Greg may want to look at it. I don't know if Greg has seen it or not. You looking it over now?
Mhm.
All right, so same way, we do these all the same. Essentially, you present your criteria, the criteria. Did you bring a copy of your?
Did not.
I'll give you my copy as soon as Greg's done.
Well, I need to,
Can I
is there a, well,
take a minute to read something? Before we go into this. Is this already built?
Yes,
It's already
Yes.
with permit.
it is built. It's built, roofed, side,
It's not
windows are in.
finished, but the
Want
oh,
me to do?
oh, that is a different case.
Problem is I put the addition where I was told I could put it by our acting building inspector at the time, Gilchrist. And he misinformed me of the setback. So I'm 59 feet, 3 inches with a laser from the edge of the curbing to the foundation. I was told I needed 50 feet. So I originally drew the plans with the house angled. So there's other houses in the neighborhood that are way within the setback. They're 40 feet from the road, whatever, here nor there.
But that was probably
Grandfather.
grandfathered because
Yeah, it was
built.
30
Right.
something years ago. So basically, I was going to angle it because of the setback, because I was aware of, I was close. And I've been building in this
Let's
town for
get
25
let's hear
years.
him first.
So I was going to angle it. And then I came back to Mr. Gilchrist again and said, hey, we dug the hole. And according to what you're telling me is, I said, I'm almost 60 feet from the road. He said, well, you're all set. You only have to be 50 feet, not 50 feet plus 12, which I was not informed of by him and the past building inspector. Both of them told me
Is there?
50 feet. So therefore, we poured the foundation. I called for foundation inspection. And he only worked 4 hours on Mondays, 4 hours on Wednesdays, I believe it was.
Mhm.
So he was supposed to inspect it on a Monday. So basically, never heard anything from him. I had it backfilled the following Tuesday, Wednesday. Normally, if there's a problem, they call you. They say, okay, yeah, something's wrong or whatever. Well, I got no phone call. We built it. We roofed it. We put the windows in. I'm the builder as well. I live there. Plus,
I'm the homeowner.
and
We're
this is my
recently
wife.
married and joined families, and
So we need the room. We have 5 kids. So then she finds a note in the driveway in a puddle 3 weeks later that says you might be in the setback, don't backfill. No phone call was made to me. Nothing was done the way it normally traditionally is. And the house is already built.
So I'm a little nervous
Well,
about this. One, because now we're actually, the zoning administrator said, whoa, there's a problem. So there's actually no permit for this job.
No, there is a permit. I pulled the building permit. I have the building permit.
So there's a building permit for the job, but
Yep.
the house is within the setback and there's no variance on the permit. So therefore the permit is really, it's void. Have you gotten any inspections?
No,
Is there a red tag on the property?
nope. I went in and talked to our new building inspector. I talked to Doug
Yeah.
at the fire department. And I said, this has been going on. I said, well, first of all, this went on for 2 months because I had the wrong labels that was supposed to be sent out or whatever. So I had to come back and I missed the meeting date, which was by noontime on a certain date. So I brought back the right labels. Then it got sent out finally. But before that, it was an issue of getting in contact with somebody when there was no building inspector. And then Kevin Lynch came back.
Mhm.
In the meantime, I'm working for Rick Charbonneau, and it's, I'm speaking with him about the whole variance thing in town here and trying to get the right information. And there was no information to be had because we didn't have a building inspector. So I can't do anything. And I have to cover, I sold my house. I've lived in this town my entire life.
So who gave you the denial letter?
we got that maybe a couple
You're
weeks
reading it.
ago.
I only got that a couple weeks ago.
That was we got that after we had submitted our
Can't read it.
variance application and all that.
Yeah.
Then we got the denial letter. I would say that was September, October.
So meanwhile, my house is open to the weather, and all of my things are in that garage getting ruined.
We need to
And-
get it weather tight for the winter.
Peter Dion. So Peter Dion is the new building inspector.
Yes.
I've only met him once.
I mean, with no input from the building inspector, and we're gonna approve something against the zoning administrators that was already against his approval?
The zoning administrator, I've never spoken to about this. The only person that
That's
ever
Peter
said,
Dion. He's
the building inspector.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a,
Yeah, I just spoke to him the other day, but the problem with this is that there was nobody to talk to. And I was given the wrong information by a town official, 2 town officials.
So do you, well, in either, I mean, so I'm a little confused as to how to deal with this too, because, what we're hearing is there's hearsay evidence. We have nothing in writing from anybody that says, this is what I told you. And
Mhm.
it's my fault from the first guy, right?
Yeah.
Whoever that was. And I'm not sure, other than that, everything else becomes hearsay. I don't even have drawings that shows us your plot or what you're building. or
Drawings were
anything
submitted
like
to the town.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, you could have brought copies of all that here too. It would have
We
helped
didn't
us
have
to at
copies.
least look
They
at.
took all
We
my
didn't
copies.
bring copies.
You don't have a copy of the file? It's supposed to be all in the building file. It's with the
It's
building
supposed to
office.
be.
We didn't get
But
any of
I
that.
didn't get anything. That's the whole problem. When this all happened, this
Okay.
was when Kevin Lynch
So-
was let go. And then a new building inspector came in and there was nobody here for
So-
weeks.
Yeah, I know.
one question though that I have, and then I would like to make a motion.
Good.
Do you have a building permit?
Yes, I could go get it in my truck right now. I have a building permit
He
for
has
the
a building
structure.
permit. We have a denial letter.
But that building permit is probably predating this.
Yes, it
Oh,
is.
yeah.
It's definitely.
It's long before that.
I was given a permit. I believe it was June.
No, it's before June.
Was it before
I think
June?
it was April.
I think,
Yeah, but this denial letter, what does it actually say I'm denying a permit?
It says building
Yeah.
permit denial
That's why
letter.
when we got that letter in the mail, we
I
didn't
brought that
understand
in
it
and
because we
showed
already
it to
had a permit.
Dion in the fire department about 3 weeks ago.
Mhm.
I brought him in that letter. He goes, "Oh, no, you can get your house weathered." He's like, "Don't worry about it. You just got to go to the easement meeting." I've never heard of them not,
well,
you know what I mean? Like I went in and spoke
Your
to
concern
him.
that that it was
my,
denied and he
my
moved forward.
concern is right now, we allow a person to,
Well,
the
if you
town,
allow
the
it.
town allowed the person to build,
Mhm.
put a foundation in, keep on building. The fire inspector said it was okay to frame it, window it, roof it, side it. Am I right? Side it?
Yep.
Enclose this for weather and then come to see us for a variance.
I'm
Sounds
only,
like
I'm
it's more
3.
like an appeal of an administrative decision or
Yeah,
something along those.
I'm not,
The problem, excuse me, but it's really, the street goes like this. It's a half moon.
I
So
understand.
there's only that one corner that hits a 3 feet into our front setback. We literally have 100 and something feet to the right, 100 to the road, 100. We have a big lot.
Mhm.
It's one corner, and they literally widened that road. I think I probably wouldn't have been in the setback until they repaved and did the new curbing. But I mean, it is what it is now. I mean, it is
We
where
don't
it
even have,
sits.
we don't have a letter from anybody, any of the
No.
other building inspectors.
And I think
Would
pretty
help
much
to see the
everything you
original
just said, again, is this the one?
No.
I'm not sure you mentioned any of that in here, did you?
Because I know
What's
that
that?
when I build, I can't.
This
The whole
we filled-
history of how you got to where you are?
Well, I don't
He
want
has
to
the permit if he brings it
say
in.
the inspector
It's
gave me
not
the wrong
clear.
information.
I think
I
we
wanted
did
to-
say that in there. though.
I'm not sure. I
I
don't.
don't know.
If he
Well,
has
but
the
we
permit.
filled out that before we got that other letter of
That-
denial. That was all filled out prior to that letter.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't have been in there
Gilchrist
anyways.
left, like I had called and never got a phone call back from him.
Gilchrist, I'm sorry.
He was
to-
the building
to-
inspector.
So he was from like Londonderry?
Yes,
I
he
think
was.
so.
Okay,
Yep.
okay,
And he was part-time.
yes.
He was only Monday and Wednesdays for 4 hours in the morning, both days.
Yep.
So I called him numerous times, left voicemails. I sent an email to the town. And then I came in here and Kevin Lynch was back.
Mhm.
So that's when I went over it with Kevin and said, Kevin, this is what happened. He goes, well, you got to slope tape it. We did. So it's in the setback. So then, okay, what do I do? What's the proper channel of command? What do I need to do? Well, you just got to go to the zoning board, fill out this paperwork. So I came and got the paperwork. we did the paperwork and we're like, okay, it shouldn't be a big deal because it's,
So Kevin gave you, did Kevin deny you when he was back?
no, I didn't, he was only back for a couple weeks and then, I mean, I didn't really have any dealings with him other than just asking for his input on what I need to do, what were the next steps to do so that I can get my house built.
So the inspector from Londonderry who was here as an intern
Yes,
for our building inspector gave you a permit.
yes.
And then Kevin said to you, no, your house or your foundation is being built within the setback
No, not Kevin.
No.
because he told you
No,
that.
Gilchrist is the one who left the note when he came out to
Okay,
inspect the
Gilchrist.
foundation.
Saying you might
He
be in the
stuck
setback.
he stuck one of those little building notes on a foundation tie because I could see the rust on the hole through the note.
Mhm.
And we never even saw it. I mean,
Okay.
nobody called us. There was nothing was done to let us know that there was an issue. And that's why I continued to build because usually in any other town, if you don't pass an inspection, your number is on that permit. My cell phone number is on that permit. And they call you and tell you, hey, you know, because other than that, I got a dirt guy scheduled the next day to backfill.
Yeah.
Because you want to get it filled in. It's an issue. It's a safety issue if you don't.
I just, I don't feel comfortable to vote on that without, or hear the case without hearing from either council or the building inspector.
You know, there's three things that a zoning board can rule about is special exceptions, ordinances, and then they have this new thing, or well, new. It's the other thing is dimensional areas,
Dimensional area, yeah.
dimensional areas.
And like he said, they measured it on the slope. I'm
Slope
very
taping,
familiar with
yeah.
it, just so you know.
Yep.
I'm very familiar
Why
with
can't
it.
they measure it on the slope? If there's,
So they measured it on the slope. So it could actually be longer on the slope, right?
Yeah.
But it's not. It's
But
actually
when you
shorter.
slope tape, you actually slope tape.
Yeah.
You know, you probably know with the calc ruler.
Mhm.
And it's 50 with a laser, which you can't get more accurate than that. It's 59 foot 6 inches to the corner of the foundation.
So we are what, 4 feet? in the setback?
Approximately 3 to 4
A little
feet.
less than 4
so. that's
Wait, and our
another thing
neighbors
about this.
have
All our
absolutely no problems
neighbors
with it. So
are-
just saying you're aware.
You know, that's why they're not here because they don't have an issue with it.
I do need.
Riverview, is that the houses down in the,
By Wilson's Farm.
So our house sits back against 3A.
Yeah.
So we're on the top part of the circle. So
Okay.
we kind of look down into the neighborhood.
they actually taped all those houses back in 80s,
87,
87,
86.
86, 87.
For who Jimmy, was it for Calawa?
I did it with one of the local drywall companies.
Yeah.
That's how old I am.
So I don't know if you're prepared to answer this question today, but one of the things that I did note for myself was your variance lacks specifics. So your request anyways,
Mhm.
you're looking for relief from a setback, front setback, side setback,
Front
which is it?
Front setback.
Front setback. And how many feet are you encroaching in?
About 3 to 4 feet
You
approximately.
need to know.
Yeah,
So the
Well,
So
front-
I have called my surveyor to have an actual plot plan done. Because you have to do that anyway to get the new corners shot and get the new plot plan done. But everybody's so busy right now. It's like, okay, I'll be out there in 3-4
you
weeks.
said you already submitted a plot plan. And
I
you-
did.
it's-
Yeah.
it's
But you
lost.
have to do a new one with the new structure.
So wait a minute. Your plot plan showed the building in one place and it got built in another?
The plot plan shows the building coming straight out. The addition, what it is it's a 12-foot breezeway. And then there's a garage that was on an angle. So that's how I drew it in the beginning. I went back to the building inspector and said, hey, we have enough room. If I have to be 50 feet or more from the road, I can go straight instead of angling the garage. So he said, yeah, you have enough room as long as you're 50 feet from the road to the closest point. So instead of angling it, which proposes a roof problem in the back, now it gives me like a funny angle over that breezeway roof where it meets. That creates ice dams. I mean, I did it on I just sold my house on 3A right across from past Conway, the green one. That was my house. And I angled the breezeway and had nothing but problems with ice dams in those funny little angles in the back. So I wanted to go straight with it. It makes more sense. It makes more sense inside with the layout. Yep, you're fine. So that's what I did.
I was just looking at
There's
this,
no other
it's
encroachments, it's
just
only the
4
front.
feet at the corner, no
Oh,
more,
it does say that.
but from the front road setback. Yeah, but it doesn't say it on there.
It wasn't in the actual application on the front. It basically says, yeah, appeal.
Okay.
Oh. Corner and no more than setback from the front. Oh, this. Okay. Interesting. Yep. So it does say 4 foot. So we can leave it at 4 foot if that's where it's gonna go. But I think you might want to consult this plot plan. I'm with you. There's something that we seem to be lacking information here.
Yeah, but we don't, so I hate to leave him with his wide open structure.
That's our main concern at this point.
Yeah, and the
Winter.
lack of information didn't come from us.
Mhm.
It came from who the
No, we're
time.
not
Howard-
blaming.
I get it,
We
but you
agree
don't
with
know.
that. We agree.
But we, so
The lack of information can work in your favor, it can work against you. Do you really want to take that chance?
but my whole thing is I
What
don't.
do you mean by
Well, yeah,
take
what
the
do
If
you-
we vote no, you, what's your appeal? What's your recourse is then? If we vote no.
I don't understand what,
If
I
we
guess
vote
we
no,
don't know
you
what-
have to come back to us with a new set of circumstances for why we should give you a variance for the 4 feet
Okay.
in the setback. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that I don't want to grant that to you. I feel like it's a reasonable thing that we could look at, but I just don't feel like after reading that, I just glanced through it and then I see that there's a permit, but then I see a denial letter and then I see no plot plan, no nothing. It really makes me nervous.
Yeah, but then you throw in the fact that you've got one plot plan that was approved for that permit.
Yes.
And what actually got built is not
Exactly,
what's
it's
on the
not-
plot plan that got approved for the permit.
That's exactly it.
We need to look at all of that
Mhm.
stuff, and we don't have any of this information before us right now.
Mhm.
Not to mention possibly trying to compel that previous person, code officer, inspector, to come in here and testify,
Mhm.
provide some input,
Yes.
you know? I think all of those things should be looked into before we, I mean, make a decision that's, gonna have an impact on you one way or another. There's gonna be no gray after we decide.
right, well, I'm
Okay.
just saying,
Gotta
what
follow
do
the
we,
law
what
after
do we
that.
need to do is my question. I mean,
What-
how do I get information
Just
from
tell me
somebody
everything.
that's not here
I think
anymore?
what you need, one of the first things we need to hear from is one, the building inspector needs to tell us. I need to hear from a letter or something from the building inspector why he's denying it and why he denied it after there was a permit already
Granted.
granted. I'd like to hear that. And then I'd also like to see a plot plan of when the permit was given to you
Mhm.
and a plot plan of what we have now,
Okay,
because there's a difference in the,
because she should have that in the file.
okay.
I mean, it's definitely in there
In,
with my blueprints and everything.
Your building permit and or certificate of occupancy. Which one is it?
so what I'm really surprised at is we have a foundation that was put in the ground and backfilled. Framing was done. There's no red tag on that building.
Nope.
It's very concerning to me.
What's red tag? What does that even mean?
Stop work.
Stop work order.
Right.
That's
So is
when
that
I
who
got
puts
that
that on
letter.
there? Building inspector?
The
will
building
put that?
inspector. So when I got that letter, I went right to the fire department the next morning. And I talked to Doug, and the new building inspector, Dion, was in there at the time.
Yeah.
He read the letter right in front of me. He said, there's
Didn't
no,
he say he didn't write that?
I didn't write this.
Yeah, he said he didn't.
And he
write
said, there's no stop work order on your job. I said, I have to get it closed in. Snow is coming, rain, my stuff is rotting. Everything we own is in that garage, uncovered, and it's getting ruined.
But Mr. Dion gave you building permit denial letter with his signature on it.
Right. And he read that right in front of me, in front of Doug,
Said that he
assistant
didn't
fire
sign
chief.
He said he didn't do it?
Exactly. So now, am I going to piss off the building inspector with all this? This is the problem. I work in this town. I haven't left this town in 6 years. And I'm not here to ruffle feathers, but I mean, this is also my house. This is my home.
That's why I want to try to get it done.
They also work in this
And I'm not,
But,
and she's a teacher in this
teacher
town
at
for
GMS.
18 years. I mean, Past Conway was my grandfather's farm. I've lived here my entire life,
I see no reason why you couldn't
and I've
go through
never
this.
had an issue like this, ever.
Well, we gotta try to help you get through it. So I want to make sure I got you.
We just want to know
you
what do
mentioned-
we need exactly to do?
Yeah, that's
We'll
well.
Make sure we
So
get,
there's two things for me to, if we go the route of continuing this case, which it's possible that's where we'll go. I need to publish essentially that is a decision or an outcome of this particular hearing. So I want to make sure I capture the reasons, which then should trigger either the code officer to provide whatever information we're requesting or planning board or whatever you. There should be a file somewhere on all this previous stuff. I don't have that, so
who would have that?
it's building department. That's where it would have started, including that building permit and the application and the whole routine.
So
A copy of all that should be in that file.
again, one more time. So you went to the fire station, you met with the fire chief. He said, go ahead, build it anyway.
Not build it, it was already built.
Yeah, that was.
It was already
we
built.
But
just
I
got
said, you know,
that
I
letter
want
a
to get
few-
some
a
siding
month
and
ago.
put the windows in because the rain is coming through and just soaking everything I own.
And so then
He
the
said
building
there's-
inspector.
Building
Mr.
inspector was
Mr.
sitting on a
Dion?
table right behind him. He came up, took the letter from Doug. He read it as well. He said, there's no stop work order. You can get it closed in. I don't have a problem with that. I didn't even know it was him. I hadn't met him yet because he was new and he's only
But
been
he's-
there.
They're trying to help you is what they're trying to do, probably.
Yeah, and he said he didn't give you a denial letter?
Nope, that's exactly what he said, and his name is right on it. And then he came over to inspect Rick Charbonneau's barn, which I just built the other day. And I said, hey, I have my variance meeting next Wednesday. He's like, oh, yeah, we got a lot of those lately. I mean, he knows who I am. He knows exactly what it is because I explained to him the whole situation when I was in the fire station that morning about how I was told where to put it, where I could put it, the circumstances. And he was,
I gotta ask, did I just hear you correctly? We have a letter with
Yeah, with his
the
signature.
new code officer's signature on
Yeah,
it.
denial letter.
And he's telling you he didn't write the letter?
said it right to me.
And that's his signature is on there?
Yes.
We're
I don't
assuming
know if
so.
it's a signature, just his
Or a
name. I'm
stamp,
not
I
sure.
don't know.
We're assuming it's a signature.
He's saying he didn't issue a letter or he didn't red tag you. I just want to be
No,
clear. He's
no,
saying
red
he
tag, he did not red
Red
tag.
tag me.
and he's saying he did not write that letter.
He said
Maybe
he
he
did not write.
said he didn't red tag me, or he said there's no red tag. You can do whatever you want, but that says right there I'm denied.
So why are you here? 'Cause-
I need to live in my home.
no.
We have 5 kids
who
in a
told you?
3-bedroom
The
house
reason,
right now.
the reason why he's here is because he's within the setback. He needs a variance.
I know that. I
Hang
understand
on,
all
I'm
of
gonna
that.
finish this. Before,
Yeah.
he needs a variance before he can get scheduled inspections.
I can't get any inspections.
or a
I can't
CO
move
for
on.
his house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now we're
We have a
jammed
small
into a
house
3-bedroom house
5
with
kids
5
and us
kids.
and 2 dogs.
You
And
related Pam?
Hmm?
Pam Lane?
Pam is my
Pam's
mother.
his mother.
Oh, your mother.
Yeah.
Yes. Candace was my grandmother.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Oh boy, I had a train of thought and I lost it. This one's such a weird one.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a good one.
The reason why I'm really.
Oh, I was gonna say he's here because I actually received notice that there was a new applicant for me to come down and pick up. So somebody at the code office knows that, or at least accepted an application, told me, wait, we had to,
There was
so
a-
I'm proceeding with it.
There was a
So
note
he
in the
received my
driveway.
notice that he's ready to come in.
The note you found in the driveway.
That was from
Oh, that
Gilchrist.
was
The reason-
from, it was
reason
on like
why
a
I'm a little nervous with
yellow
this is because
form that just said might be in setback, don't backfill or something.
Yeah.
And that was,
And there was a
Found
hole
it.
through it with rust on it because I know he's.
You don't have that by any chance, do you?
Actually,
We
I
might
do
have it.
have that
Save
from
that,
somewhere.
because we need all this stuff when we.
Yeah, I do. I did
And
save
if
it.
we hear you again, if we see you again, it's,
might have that.
I'm not.
I guess I just want to stress the point that we are making a home for ourselves, our newly married blending families, and our children. And our
This
neighbors
wouldn't have
have no
happened if I
concern.
wasn't given
We are
the
4
wrong
feet.
information.
It's not much. I understand it's a problem, but
Get letters too. Well, all I'm saying is,
get letters from them.
it's
Yeah.
We just didn't think we would
I've
need
been on
that.
this
I don't
board
know.
for something like 15 or 20 years or somewhere in that neighborhood. Yeah, right. And in all that time, I think I can only think of 1, maybe 2 instances where someone was seeking relief after the fact.
Yeah.
It's very it was difficult for them to make their case. Yours is totally different from the cases we heard
Yours is
in that you've kind of got some mixed signals, it sounds like, from the town. We need to get all this information out there in order for us to do it, in order for us to really
Yeah,
hear
because,
this case.
I mean, if we do that with you here, like you said, you're a builder here in town. If you were to do it again, well, we set a precedence to say it was okay. With this case, it's
No, I
gonna
get what
it
you're
could
saying.
come back. It could come back, and that's why I just don't feel.
Problem is, I've never failed an inspection in 26 years of doing this.
Me neither.
Ever.
I understand.
And this isn't,
None of this.
This is
on
not our
us,
fault.
And I feel like
but
it's
yet
due to a
our
lack of
hardship is
organization here.
because of
and-
the town's lack of
I think they got married.
paying attention to what they're doing and who they're hiring.
Yep.
And now we suffer for it.
Well, we
You know
now
how much
have,
money I paid this town when I built my new house? I was $30,000 into the town for change of usage, for all this other crap, before I even had a foundation in the ground.
That's
I
another
understand
story,
that.
though.
But I mean, come on.
I remember that.
This is,
It was built 2 years ago. I had to pay.
yeah, it's not fair.
So I would
It
just
doesn't
like.
sound like it's fair from what we're hearing. I mean,
yeah, something's not right with this case with the building department and the way it was built and the way it's continued to go, and then it's left right here on our table. And then once we set the criteria and say, no, it's okay, the next person that comes in is going to say, well, case number 2019-13, you said it was okay.
well, conversely,
Yes.
if the board were to deny the request, it becomes even harder for the
Yeah,
applicants to
exactly.
come forward and make their case.
I
Because now they've got to prove why we were wrong.
I would like to make a motion, if you don't mind. I'd like to make a motion to continue case 2019-13 until further evidence or
Well, I make it next.
or a letter from the building department is brought to us. And we could hear it next month as first case.
Well, I have a motion. Do I have, there's a motion on the table. Do I have a seconded? Okay, I have a motion.
Okay, go ahead.
So my motion would be to continue the case. However, I want to be pretty specific so that for my benefit and the applicant's benefit as to why. And I think at a minimum, we need to look at the previous application or permit, the file, essentially, that contains that information. We want to, I think we need to hear from the existing code officer and ideally from the previous code officer.
Yes.
And I also want to have the option to reach out to legal if necessary to guide us through
No,
this.
you definitely have to call. That's the
Yes.
first thing you're gonna do is call your town attorney.
Well,
Let
what are
them-
they gonna do? Dig all this stuff up for me or do I,
No,
they probably.
you've got
maybe
a lot
they
of
will.
questions here.
They might, but they'll at least advise.
He'll advise.
They'll advise you. Have you ever talked to them?
Oh, I have, yeah. Her, I think it is.
Him? No, you.
But yeah, I'm just not sure what to say. I guess
You can explain all of what.
she'll
all
reach
what
out
he's
to
talking
Troy after
about.
that. She'll reach out to Troy and tell her to get, to get the information necessary. There's a bit of a discount. Well, I'll do the best I can too.
Also, I would like to see that the existing plot plan versus the plot plan that was given with the original application, because that may be where the problem lies. And just hear me out. I'm not trying to further complicate this, but when you first did the application, when you had your plot plan, it may have shown that it was not within the setback. And then when the step-in inspector came, he's seen, okay, well, now it's within the setback because you said you angled the house.
Mhm.
So in angling the house, now you're within the setback, but that new plot plan may show something different. I mean, you and I know you pull a tape every day, put a laser down every day too, but we may be pulling that number off of something else that's really not there. When you get your new plot plan, it may show that you might be 1.5 feet. You might be less or maybe a little more.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is how long does this all take? Because it's already been long enough. And so now,
Since April.
now I have getting a guy to come out there in November and December.
So you said you're waiting on them now, right?
Yeah, that's next to impossible because everybody is swamped. So getting that done before the next meeting. I can dig up the information. I can get it whatever you want, whatever I can get to speed this up.
I'm
But
pretty sure the building department probably has it, or a lot
they,
of the
they should
questions
have
that
it
he
because
has.
it was all turned in and I have the original permit. But I mean, what do we need to do to get this to go to the next step? Because it's gone on too long already.
Well, I have 5 things that I've gotten from you guys that we need, and let me know if there's any more. We need a letter from the building inspector currently saying why it was denied after we had a permit. We need a plot plan, the original and that you guys already
They
have
already
somewhere,
have that.
but you want to see that again, and you want what it looks like now.
We never seen it. We have not seen it.
Right.
But is
And
it our
again-
job to get it to you, or is it?
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. You have to come to this with all the information you think you might need to make this work for
Wasn't it
you.
already submitted though? You said it.
You
That was
did-
already
did
Not
submitted.
to us.
No, it's not submitted in the pack.
I was under the understanding that there was a folder that comes to the meeting. Like there was a folder of stuff that comes to the meeting with, when you go in front of the zoning board, when you go to these,
It's the application.
they have the application there.
And we have the application, but when
Application.
you
No, I have a variance application. I don't
Okay,
have-
when
I
you
mean-
submit your variance application, we usually have like
Is there something that tells us this?
Tells you what. Yeah,
That we need to bring all that stuff?
The application says everything you should be bringing, including certified plot plans, any other documents that you think would help make your case. I think it said
Okay.
something along those lines too. Pictures,
Yeah, you said you
everything,
only had
handwritten
them all submitted.
drawings, napkins,
Yeah,
all
well,
that
we do
stuff
have them all
is great to
submitted.
have
Just not
when you're doing this.
I didn't know we
You
needed to
need
bring
to
those
tie.
here.
So the plot plan we had at the building department
I'll get that tomorrow.
needs to come here too. It's not, you guys don't work together and do
Well,
it.
so,
We need to
so
get that.
what I'm proposing is that I'm going to be, as part of my, what am I saying? What the hell? I'm trying to make a suggestion. I'm making a what? Yours just got denied. I'm having a total loss. Motion. My motion would essentially require me, after, to engage the building department and request that file. At the same time, I'm going to ask that the officer issued the current denial letter to appear at the next hearing.
Mhm.
In addition, my motion would compel me to reach out to the previous code officer and ask them to come to the next meeting as well.
Mhm.
In addition, the third point that I am going to be proposing on this, so that's 1, 2, that is 3. The fourth one that I would include in my letter, or my reason for the continuance, is to allow for you, the applicant, to organize and submit any additional documents and or written testimony that you want to submit. In this case, those kind of letters that you had, that kind of stuff that ties this back.
anything
all
from your
would be
neighbors.
helpful.
So letters from neighbors.
Yeah, letters from
Okay.
your neighbors, that's great.
Oh, yeah, letters of support from the neighbors.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've just talked to them and,
You watched us on the previous case, right? I hope.
yeah.
And you saw the information that they gave us. They had all kinds of drawings.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, well, we had that with our original
We
permit.
didn't.
So we, I guess we just
figured
assumed
that
that it
the
all
town
was
was-
together,
Listen to me,
you
listen to
know?
me.
They,
One
they
second.
gave it to us.
Let me
Yeah.
clarify that
Yeah.
1 second, to be clear. You've already stated that the drawing that was submitted with the original permit is not what got built.
Right.
So
Yes.
even that drawing isn't going to be sufficient.
Right, you want to see that
Really,
one.
If you
and
want to
the new
come forward with
And what's
everything,
there.
bring everything.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
That's what you got to do.
So. my
Even
one
if you got to
point
hand
is-
draw it,
Right, which
you
I
know.
do. I draw my own prints.
Yeah,
I
I hear
just
you.
turned
I
in
do-
a set to
I
Manchester
use
today.
Visio.
But when I went back to him, the building inspector at the time, Gilchrist, I said, hey, I have this amount of room. Well, we'll just make an addendum to the plan afterwards. Go ahead. I mean, that's what was said to me, because I know how to do it. I've done addendums, like if you change a steel beam to an LVL or something, we always do that at the end. Like, okay, just keep going and get me the specs for that steel beam whenever during the course of building. So that's the last meeting I had with him, and then he was gone.
Yep.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
I was going to change that, put it on there, do it the right way. Like, that's what we always do. And
And then when you get your CO and your occupancy permit, that's when you have to give them all those
Yes.
changes
Yep.
in writing.
Yep, and before that,
Yes.
usually I just give them to him, like, have them emailed from the steel company. They'll email it to the
Yeah.
building inspector, whatever. It's
And
just,
they approve it right there and
Yeah.
send you an email.
Yeah.
I agree.
he has my beam specs in there because there's a steel beam in the garage. They got to do a test pit on the septic because we're out at a bathroom. I mean, all that stuff. I mean,
I'm sorry, you also want to see building permit and the original letter, if we have it, the one that
Yep.
we
Yeah,
got, like,
no,
No, don't backfill
I
them.
suggest you bring it. I mean,
have
I'm
that?
not demanding you
I-
bring it. I'm
it's-
just giving you suggestions.
and you
At the
know-
end of the day, like he said earlier, it's up to you guys to make the case.
she's a
We're just
teacher.
providing you
You're not
advice.
going to believe what she's going to bring in here.
if there is
Bring the whole class of
Bring your class.
students.
if there's something unique to the lot that made you build it the way you did, like
Well, there
you know,
is.
your septic
There's a town
system.
drainage that goes behind the house.
See, we
It
need
comes
all
from
that.
3A
We need to understand
and it
all
goes
that.
underground. And if I had angled the house, I would have went right through it, and I would have had to pay to redo the town drainage down to the
Perfect.
street.
So that's, you
Please
gotta know.
Bring
yeah,
us,
that's
put
kinda
that on that plan.
That's why one of the reasons when I went back to him, I showed him because it shows on our plot plan that town drain that's been there for years that comes down through the property line. And he said to me, if you hit it, you have to redo it from the street all the way down.
So that'd be great if you could bring that,
So
put that on your plot plan.
So if you're,
Up to you how much you want to document
Yeah.
what this person said
Well, and that's
or
the thing,
not
it's-
said. I'll try to get them here
he,
to testify,
he talked to me more
testify.
about how he takes care of his grandkids than he did about me building something. So it was like, you know,
I know, that's part of the problem
I
sometimes.
guess, what happens if you are not able to get those people here?
We proceed without him.
no,
Proceed.
no. You have to call the attorney.
Attorney,
Well,
that's the
because
attorney.
you,
I can
you
call the
have the
attorney.
power to require that they show up. You can write a
Subpoena.
subpoena. You can,
Okay.
We can.
you
Okay.
have subpoena power. You are the
Yes.
chairperson. I would do that.
apparently you got the
You have
power.
the subpoena power. I would
Last thing
do
I
that.
wanted to have to do is call my
Let's hope it
lawyer.
doesn't come to that, because I think everybody wants to just,
I just
you
want,
know,
well, you
I
can
want to get
figure
this to
this
go
out.
through for you,
No,
but I got to be careful in doing it because when I vote on something, it comes back 10 years from now and they say, well, you let this go without a building permit before. I look terrible.
Yeah,
You know?
no, I hear you.
I mean-
You gotta,
You're telling me that there's a building permit, which I believe you. I believe you have one. You told me you could go get it, but
Yeah.
I'm reading a denial letter from the building inspector, and then you tell me the building inspector said he didn't sign it. So I think it's a really good idea that they be here.
I do too.
absolutely.
I do too. I mean, it's
Can you
unfortunate. I mean, I can't apologize. It's nothing we caused, but
Now, either can I.
I think, I really think it's in your best interest and our best interest. At this point, I would almost insist that we do a continuance unless you really insisted we not.
no, I agree. Let's do a continuance and I'll get everything here and you can have him here and I'll get,
Yeah,
I mean, I can go out and get you the permit right now. It's in my truck.
No, it's
but-
okay.
it's, and again, it's not,
You know,
it's not really to
it's just
set up a
slowing
shouting
down.
match. All we're trying to do is just get the facts on the table. And everything needs to go in the record. And even this recording essentially becomes a part of the record, or the minutes that'll come out of this will become a part of the record. So, and if for any reason there's an appeal, you need all that in that record.
Could you explain to me when that denial letter that we received in September or whenever, what is that a response to?
Yeah, that came out of
Because
nowhere.
we filled in our application for the
Place is already
variance
built.
and got that, but we had already got a building permit in April. So I'm just wondering, like,
Yeah.
how
it was
that
built in
happened.
June.
The problem is that we can't, so we don't really even fall under the building department. So I don't know how you got that letter, why you
Yeah.
got that letter. We only get involved when a letter like that comes out.
What's it
Then
typically
they
though, a
say,
response
oh,
to?
huh?
What's it typically the response to, though, I guess?
Code officer coming
Well,
out and doing an inspection.
Okay.
Could be a complaint from a neighbor.
Usually the response is for the denial letter is exactly why it's being denied. is within the setback. And
But it
So
wasn't like
denial
a
letter-
response
denial-
to anything we had
denial
asked
letters-
for. You know, I didn't,
yeah,
it kind
so,
of came out
well,
of nowhere.
They
In our-
determine,
So-
they determine whether they need to give you a denial letter or not by, okay, so the plan looks good. And you're within the setbacks and everything. The building looks good, it's all to code, and
Yeah.
then you get a permit. You get a denial letter if something doesn't meet the building code, if something doesn't meet the setbacks, if something needs a variance or a use change or something like that, then you would get a denial letter from the building inspector.
So
And
it
you can
happens
get
even
those-
if you hadn't asked for a permit or it just,
No,
you
no,
just
no,
get
no,
it.
no. If
No,
you've
you-
asked for the permit and they recognize there's an issue, you'll get the denial letter right then at the time you get the permit, and you make a choice. You either want to change your plan
Yeah.
to be in compliance, or you want to come to us for a variance. That's the way that works. Now, sometimes you've gotten an approval,
Mhm.
but then there's an inspection and whatever. In this case, a denial happened
Yep.
after the fact.
Yeah.
There could be something going on, and a neighbor might, make
Right, yeah.
a complaint about something that's going on, where a neighbor's doing something, operating a commercial business out of their residence.
Mhm.
The code officer sends them some sort of letter that says you're not in compliance with this ordinance.
Mhm.
After a certain number of days, boom, next thing you know, they start finding him. The applicant shows up here with a request. So
Okay.
that's how this kind of stuff happens.
Mhm.
It happens in multiple ways. This denial letter didn't happen. This one we're looking at.
This
didn't-
is actually a
apparently
good
didn't
one.
happen on
This
the
is-
date that you were, on the date that you
But it's a
applied,
good,
initially applied.
Who was that from?
You didn't submit 2 building
The
permits, is that correct?
Peter Dion, building
Only one.
department,
Come on.
building inspector.
Whatever that one is doesn't
We're
look
talking
familiar.
about two different
That doesn't look like
positions.
the same one.
Code enforcement and building officer, two different positions
Well,
usually.
no, Peter Dion is a building inspector.
Yeah.
That's both, yeah.
But they're,
That letter doesn't look like anything we got.
Is that the one from Peter Dion?
Hmm.
Oh, then that's the one we got. I don't know.
But didn't you say you were looking at two
From here, it
different
looks,
ones?
yeah, I thought I heard you say
Would you like to
there's
see
two.
it?
Yeah, please.
Did we
This
have
was-
2 denial letters?
This is in there.
This
This
is-
is in your package.
We've only seen one denial
No, I
letter.
didn't say.
Oh, I thought someone said
asked
there
you
were
if you
2.
had two building permits. That's what I
No,
asked
I thought you had said there's another one or
No,
something.
no,
This one's a
no.
good one, or you had said something like that. I don't know.
No, I'm meaning this is, that's actually really good.
you.
Tells
Th-
you
That's the
exactly
one we
why.
received. It was October even. And we had the permit in April.
Yeah, that's what, it's just really,
For how many months?
yeah.
2 months? I mean,
I was
how did we
hoping
get
some of the-
inspections in this town 2 months without a building?
they,
inspector?
Fire
they
department
people,
did them.
guys, I know a lot of guys, the contractors down, they were told to take pictures. Take pictures of your work. And then when there's a building inspector, they'll take a look at your pictures.
Okay.
So that's why we're at where we're
Should've
at
built my
because of
house.
this.
I'm sure you would, so let me try to rephrase this motion.
What?
So,
Well,
What?
You don't have to
No.
list the thing, just say that you're gonna
that's fine.
collect.
I was doing it for the applicant's benefit as well, so they understood why we were doing it.
Oh, okay.
But I can tell you, I'm gonna make a motion to to continue. 2019-13, until our next scheduled meeting, which is
December
December
11th.
December 11th, 2019. During which time I am going to reach out to the building department, ask for the access to the previous file and the application, which contains the drawing and so forth. Ask them if they would come and testify, which would be Mr. Dion, Dion. Also reach out to the previous code officer and see if we can get that person to testify. And also this continuance would allow for the applicant to organize and submit additional documents for our review. So that's my motion.
I'll second it.
I have a seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, So, do I have an email for you guys? I don't think I did. Have I sent you an email?
No.
I mean, we're supposed to be limited in what we communicate. So when I communicate,
Yeah.
it's not going to be to ask questions. It's usually just going to be say stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm not really supposed to hear or do any of this
Right.
outside of public forum.
Mhm.
So if I send you an email, it's just going to be to say, you know, I heard from this person and they'll be there, or
Okay.
I heard from this person and they won't be there, or just something very specific that I might need you to do
Yep.
or no. But it won't be to ask for any additional information, and you don't need to send anything to me.
Yep.
It'll all come back through at the next public forum. So if you don't mind, I wouldn't.
Give me
Oh,
your email.
when I close the meeting,
Mhm.
I'll ask you for your email so I can communicate that information to you. That way, that
Yep.
we don't do it in public right
Right.
now.
Also, I don't know if it matters, but the notice that we got in the mail that's certified,
Not even the
letter.
right address on
it's
it.
not our names are wrong. Both of our names are spelled wrong. Our address is wrong. The plot number's wrong. I don't know if that matters, but
So here's your application.
yeah, that's what we submitted. This, I'm just talking about this we got in the mail. All this information here was wrong. I don't know if that matters. If you guys
It
had it on
You said
record.
your family and your mother.
Yep.
So I assume your name is Lane.
Lane.
So how
So
can
an
you say it
application
doesn't matter? Here's your
Said
application.
Lane.
This matches the application.
Oh no, that's an E. That's supposed to be an E. Amy Ash Lane it's spelled
I've
wrong.
got construction hands. I don't write too well.
That says.
I kept
21
thinking, why
Napa.
is it Lang with a G?
21
Yeah,
Natticut,
that's the other
That's
one.
the people you just heard.
Yeah,
the other
that's-
That is the
yeah.
other
It's
one.
12,
And
yeah.
then my name, the E
Yeah.
was left out, and his name, I think it's just the printing. That's supposed to be an E.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a G.
Really?
I think, what, you changed your name? Could you?
It probably doesn't matter because
I
it seems
know
like
your
everything
aunts
else is
too.
correct,
Very
but
familiar with
Heidi.
L's.
Yeah.
So it is
Heidi,
E.
yeah.
Well,
Yes, it is
there's
an
none
E.
of them left anymore.
No, they're all, and
They're all
Christine, I got letters from Christine.
Yep. Yep, they're all gone now.
Applicant name and
Yeah, this was the
address.
last holdout. She was quite
Yeah.
the character.
Oh, yeah. Well, she ran the church here in town for
Well, that's why I know her.
50 something
Yeah.
years.
I went to that church.
Okay, I'll get that updated on the next agenda. Make sure it's spelled correctly. Okay, so I will be emailing you the letter that explains, which I'll be sending to the building department and so forth, so at least you have a copy of that for your record as well.
Okay.
So I would just drop, you can ask them to show up.
Yeah.
And then kind of drop the fact that, so I don't have to subpoena you.
Sure.
I would do that.
Yeah.
Because you do have that power. You should. I'm
Next thing you
telling
know, they'll open up impeachment hearings on
Yeah.
that. All right, so before I close, I think we're all set with you guys. If you don't want to hang around, I just got about 2 minutes worth of business to wrap up here, and then we're going to close.
But you
The
wanted
meeting.
to get them afterwards.
Say that again?
You wanted to talk.
I do want to talk. Oh, yeah, that's right. So real quickly,
I'll have her write it on a piece of paper.
for,
Email.
say that again?
Have her write
I'll
it.
write it down.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Just for the general public to know, the zoning board does have a couple of positions open for alternate board members. As an alternate, you would be called upon if one of the full-time members couldn't make a meeting. We have 5 full-time members right now, and I think we have 1 alternate. We'd love to have at least 1 more, if not a couple. So if anybody's interested,
2 alternates.
you can contact. We have 2 alternates still.
Yeah, Tom and Mark.
Oh, good. No, Mark's full.
Mark's alternate.
Okay. Still need 1 more alternate. And you can contact the building department, and they'll get you an application to fill out. It's 1 page, just a few answers, and we can talk about serving on the zoning board. Thank you very much for your time, guys. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
So with that, I guess we can take a motion to close the meeting or adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Seconded. All those in favor? All right. Motion's adjourned. Thank you.
At